All right, hello and welcome. Rapid Fire Golf Week 26. We are back outside here at the sunny range, beautiful range, Bethlehem Golf Club. Welcome back. For everyone who hasn't been here before, Rapid Fire Golf, you throw your questions towards us and then I will semi-rapidly answer them and let's chat. So as soon as people start coming in and rock and rolling and throw your questions in, we shall talk. Another week, fingers crossed, of Mary figuring out our internet over here. So we should be good to go. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone had a good weekend, good week. Let me know what your questions are, and we'll rock and roll. I'll hit one until I see some questions pop up. The beautiful Bethlehem Golf Club. How does that look there? That looks good. Let's see how the swing looks. Feels good. Feels good anyway. What's up, everybody? You guys, like, we could just maybe we'll do that. I'll swing. You guys can watch me hit. We'll call it even. John, yeah, full hour of me practicing. Let's see. Hi, Eric. Do you have a drill or two that reinforces solid impact in terms of sequencing upper and lower halves? Yeah, so we definitely have a lot of drills on that. We actually did some videos today that'll come out in coming weeks about impact and sort of practicing impact. I think one of the ways to get good at sequencing during the downswing is having a firm idea of where you're supposed to get to at impact and then training that, right? So part of what we'll talk about in the videos that are going to come out is if you look at good golfers from the setup to the impact position, what you actually see different, right? So if you look at a good golfer from setup and they're here, and then at impact, they're more here, right? Everything's open, the trail arm bends, they get lower to the ground. Like literally just training those pieces in and hitting shots from there is one way to do it. John, I'd have to see your swing to say, kind of see where your sequencing is currently at or why it would be good or not. Sorry about the little bobble, there's some wind up here. But practicing impact would be one really good way to do it. Getting the pressure moving to the feet is another really good way to do it. Usually your body reacts to how your feet work. So if you're typically, like, let's say you don't have enough lower body action, getting the pressure in the feet first and kind of let things react to that would be another good way to do that. If you search my name and power or speed and things like that, we'll kind of go over sequencing in more order. But I would do some of those impact things where you get yourself to where you're trying to go and then kind of reverse engineer from there. Let's see, Eric, just wanted to say thanks, reverse slice training in your videos. Shot a legit 98 I'm usually 104, 105. Love that, man. Love that. Yeah, the reverse slice sequence videos we did that we shot and we did with Performance Golf Zones. One of the ones and kind of the slice that's like the most kind of straightforward program to follow. Like a lot of times on here, I'm going to say, hey, I have to see your swing to see what you're specifically doing. But usually for this slice, it kind of follows those same things. Get the club face first, get the grip, tilt the face down, hit it left. First, right, get rid of the ball going to the right, and then learn the path piece and pivot. So I think that was a really good program that glad to hear that helps, and hopefully 98 is the beginning of it. We'll get 95 and low 90s there moving forward. Let's see, P. Miller, I just cannot release my hands the traditional way. Thoughts on strong grip and release work full body turn. So kind of the deal there with the grip is the stronger the grip you have, the less wrist flex and forearm rotation you need, which in theory on paper would mean less club face rotation, which in theory on paper may mean more consistency in terms of direction. In theory on paper, right? So the stronger your grip pattern is, if you got your lead hand kind of turned with the V towards your trail arm or your shoulder, something like that, like a stronger grip like that, when you work down, you can have more of kind of a drive hold release where you can kind of keep your elbow pointed more forward and kind of release it more like this. The weaker grip you have, which would be more kind of V's towards the chin or just to the right of the chin, like that, the more you have to add some bow and flex and or supination to square that club face up. So if you have a hard time with releasing it that way, you can definitely strengthen the grip and learn how to hit shots and pivot from there. So if you kind of strengthen get the lead hand turn over this way, and then when you hit shots, if you want to eliminate some of the forearm rotation and wrist flexing, your sensation would kind of be like you keep your elbow here pointed towards the target, back of your hand pointed towards this target as you hit, if you want to take some of that quote unquote timing out. So stronger grip, kind of elbow at the target and pivoting, keep the trail arm bent and hit some sort of half shots like that where you're keeping the face more square. Now, as you do that, if you're going to go stronger grip and kind of less arm rotation, you want to keep your trail arm bent. Make sure you have enough forward bend and right side bend and turn, like get your body in a position to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to not have a release pattern if you like stand up early, if you extend too early, if you don't pivot well. You have to get your body orientations aligned well, but you can definitely do that. Strong grip here and keep the elbow at the target, more of kind of a drive hold. That one actually felt pretty good. Keep the trail arm bent, left elbow towards the target, and kind of hold on like that. Yeah, that's fine. A lot of good players that do that. A lot of good players with weaker grips too that have different wrist conditions. So there's different ways to do it. Let's see, John. I'm told I swing around myself too much. How can I stop and backswing properly? John, you know, with all these, I'd have to see your swing to say specifically if you mean around too much, meaning like your lead arm works in. During your backswing, think about it this way. You can swing up, in, or some amount of both. So from here, if I kind of drew like a circle around my hands and my left arm, I can, let's say I get to about takeaway. From takeaway position, my hands can go straight up towards my face, in towards my hip, or up this way. Now what they should do is work up through my pec and up over my shoulder. That should be normal. If you normally work to in, if that's correct, and you work too much around this way, then you need to feel like your hands work almost straight vertical, like your lead arm lifts, like you're going to be like Bubba Watson from the top. So your feel would be not during the takeaway, but from takeaway to the top, you want to get your lead arm almost straight through your face so that when you actually swing, you go through your right pec and over your shoulder. Again, I mean, I need to see your swing to say this is all hypothetical. And for all you guys that are new, haven't been here before, have heard it before, you hear it again. When I say need to see your swing, obviously we have cogornogolf.com. That's our membership site where you can post your swing so I can actually help you guys when I say that. Joey, let's see. I've been trying to get the left shoulder working behind me like you have spoken about. How should right shoulder work, especially with driver? So we just work the opposite of left shoulder. So when I take a setup, if my left shoulder goes down and in, if my left shoulder goes down and in, like from here, kind of just to the right of my shirt buttons, something like that, and my right shoulder just does the opposite. So my left shoulder goes down, means my right shoulder goes up. My left shoulder goes in or away from the target, means my right shoulder goes back and towards the target. So your right shoulder from here is going to work up and back as your left shoulder goes down and in. If you search my name, and we talked about left, and search my name in left arm, left shoulder, shoulder tilt, we kind of talk about some of those, how the left shoulder should work in the golf swing and the right shoulder. Same thing with driver and irons in terms of how the left and right shoulder work. So Norin style is good, bro. It's good for him relative to someone who slides, tilts, and gets too far underneath, meaning like from here, trying to get more. You see Alex Norin kind of making poses where he's kind of more this way and trying to kind of get steep and over it. For someone who normally goes too far this way, slides, tilts, and throws inside out, those are good feels. The reality is the feels don't matter. You have to feel whatever you have to feel to get to neutral. So guys that are too far under and inside do need to feel that, yeah. JZM, thank you for your help with our golf games. My pleasure. What yardage do you chip or pitch the ball? Inside of 30. I usually try and get the ball high, chip, but I can't get the ball close or I shank. Should I pitch? Yeah, I wouldn't worry so much about should you chip or pitch. I think what you should worry about then is solid contact. If you watch our How to Chip Like the Pros video, you'll see some of the general mechanics that I talk about in terms of what you should do when you chip. Just get really close to the ball, have your feet close together, sternum location. If you search my name in chipping, you'll see some stock videos. You don't need to worry about, do you need to chip or pitch? It's debatable what that means. You need to kind of get one stock shot, eliminate the shanks, get solid contact first, get the stock pieces in, and then do landing zones second. So one stock trajectory, then put the towel down. Speaking of towel, can you bring that over there for a sec, Mayor? Got a sweat towel. And then you should put a towel down, and then that was nice. Ninja Mary, who some of you guys have never seen before. Thank you very much. Put the towel down, and then you do landing spot second. And then after you do landings, it's hot here in Bethlehem, PA, by the way. I don't know where you guys are at, but we're working like 90 degrees. Mary makes me sweat up here outside, no shade ever, you know. But anyway, you do stock contact, you do landing zones, and then trajectories. Don't worry about chip or pitch. Get the contact good. Check those videos out. If you can't do that, join the membership site, man. Post up videos of your chipping. I'll be able to fix that in like 2 seconds. Jason, how do you feel about limiting right arm in golf swing and the troublemaker's thumb and index finger of right hand? Just want to B, Sullivan this weekend implement a lot of your stuff. Good stuff, man. How do you feel about eliminating the right arm in the swing? You can't eliminate the right arm, then you'd only have one arm, right? So you have to have a right arm. Maybe you mean like overactive right arm or like keeping it bent. You have to have an arm, right? You can't eliminate an arm. So I would say if you want to hit it the best, you would want to make sure your trail arm, stays in front of you in space. You want to make sure you get back in front of you. You want to make sure your trail arm's bent at impact. You want to make sure your trail wrist is bent at impact. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean there by that, Jason.
I believe Claudio's saying 65 years old and wants distance.
Gotcha. Well, Spanish. And then troublemaker's thumb and index finger of the right hand. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Jason, but you can't eliminate an arm. Just learn how to use it correctly. Maybe if you feel like you don't use your arm, that leads to better performance, depending on what you actually do. Claudio, yeah, I don't know Spanish, but I'm thinking Argentina, 65 years and one distance. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do with that, my friend. Let's see. Since I've been watching your vlogs, I've gone from a 6 to a 4. That's a beautiful thing. Beautiful. So 4 to 2 is the new goal. How are we going to go from 4 to 2? Roger, irons off the tee, how high should they be? Tee them up just a little bit off the ground. So very, very little. But play around with it. If you tee it a little bit higher and that works, that's fine. Some guys put it on the ground. Some guys, like Jack Nicklaus would say, when you ever get an advantage and you're able to tee it, always tee it just a little bit off the ground. Samuel, any drills for gradually building speed in the downswing rather than going all out from the top? Yes. The video, the rushing your downswing video this week, Mare, does that come out this week?
Yeah.
So we have a video coming out this week on how to not rush the downswing that talks about that exact thing. If you want to get more speed from the downswing, most people, not everyone, but most people need to feel like they delay the arms and the hands and get the body working. So kind of the deal is, as I want to get more rotation and pivot better, it's a race between your arms and hands is kind of what we talk about, right? And so when you start down, if your arms and hands are here, you want to try and keep almost like you're holding your arms and hands back up like this and learn how to get your body started. Pin your left bicep against your pec and keep that arm pinned against your chest as you're rotating, and then let that fly off later. That'll be the piece that gives you the most speed. That's what most people need to do for speed, right? So if I go here like this, I'm going to work up to the top. I'm going to keep that arm back there, like my arm's going against my chest as I begin my downswing, and then let it fly off later. Would look like this. So that would be the piece that I would put in for speed purposes. And then obviously, using your lower body right and using your feet right and using the ground and legs. And there's more to it. But yeah, some drills on that. If you search my name in speed, you'll see some stuff on that as well. But there's a video coming out this week that'll be good on that. Jet, what drill do you recommend for shortening your backswing? I tend to get too deep and lose a lot of forward shaft lean. Love your thoughts. Hang on here. Jet, search my name and 3 reasons your backswing is too long and how to fix them. We'll answer that over like 15 minutes in depth versus me right now. Search my name, 3 reasons your backswing is too long, how to fix them. That's how I would do that. I also did a video, if you search my name, Jet, and connection, that'll be good too. That'll talk about 2 different ways to shorten the swing. Keep your arms back in front. Tend to get too deep and lose a lot of forward. Yeah, so if you're too deep behind you, I would search my name, that backswing and the connection. You might do things like having an object underneath your arm, keeping the arms closer together with like a tour striker ball. There's a lot of different ways to do that. It's going to have to feel a lot shorter and a lot more in front of you, more than you think. You're going to need to use video. You're going to need to exaggerate. Those things are for sure. But if you watch those videos, it'll go more in depth. Demario. Hey, Eric, what is the proper way to position your left elbow at address? That's funny. We literally just did a video about this like an hour ago. When I change it to point more towards the target, it helped me to hit it straighter. Is that a good thing? Here's what I would say about your left arm. That's a good point. Now, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So if I take my normal setup, I can have my left elbow pointed more towards me. So my arm like this, if I go this way or kind of towards external rotation, my trail arm, under like this, that would have my elbow more towards my body. So now if I just rotate my forearm, I can take my grip and keep my elbow pointed towards my body. The more I keep my elbow in this way, externally rotated, and keep it towards me on the way back and down towards the ground, would be easier to make a backswing that would be steeper, keep the club in front of me, produce more speed, shallow my downswing. If I start with my elbow towards the target, with my shoulder internally rotated like this, that presets me on the way back to wanting to get more flat and then steep. So what I would say is on the setup and backswing, I would keep, now I'm giving you guys this video, man. You know, you just ruined the thing here, man. So the elbow, you want to go at your body here, keep it at your body, put it towards the ground. See what that does to my left arm? If I go elbow towards the target the whole way and then goes away from me, I get too flat. So I'm going to go elbow at me, elbow stays at me, elbow stays at me, keeps the club in front, elbow towards the ground, and then I can shift this way. Now during the downswing, like we talked about before, if you have a strong grip and a good pivot, you can do more of a drive hold release where your elbow stays at the target like this. So you limit your arm rotation and you can do kind of a drive hold like this. But to do that, you need a strong grip and you need good pivot, good forward bend, side bend, and rotation. Whew. No. Amy, it's about the wrist and grip position of both hands you taught in lots of videos. Do those rules apply to iron or all clubs? All clubs. So when you're talking grip, I wouldn't change grip for any club. I'd keep it the same. And wrist conditions, I'd keep for all the same. The only caveat to wrist conditions would be during the downswing. So setup should be the same. Irons, driver, wedges. Let me say it again. Irons and driver full swing should be the same. Wedge distance control, like inside of 50, the wrist conditions will change. If you watch our videos, you're going to need more extension, more release. But for full swing, full speed shots, the wrist conditions on the backswing should stay the same. The only caveat is going to be what you do during the downswing and when you go into extension of your left wrist and when you go into flexion of your right wrist. The deal is the less speed you have, the more you have to feel like you kind of flip it because you need loft. So if your club head speed's 80 miles an hour, you need to have more throw here to have enough loft to hit it high enough and far enough. If you're 125 miles an hour, then you can do whatever you want. You can have your hands way forward like the guys on tour, maintain wrist angles and have all that. But if your club head speed's 70 or 80 or 90 and you're trying to hold on like that, you're losing a lot of distance. You got to learn how to throw and hit up on it to gain distance. And everyone says, well, Eric, isn't that going to lose direction or timing? No, you got to just coordinate the pieces with that. So you have to have a good pivot. Okay, but I would rather you hit it 20 to 30 yards farther and a little crooked for most of you compared to straight and short. So yeah, the only reason that would change would be speed with the driver. John, want to start hitting 3-wood off the tee for control. Should I tee it up and hit it like driver? How do pros hit 3-wood off the tee? I wouldn't tee it up and hit it like driver. I would tee it low and hit more down on it, John. It depends on what I just said. I have to see your swing. It depends on your club head speed. It depends on the loft of the 3-wood. It depends on your shot pattern. Do you normally hit 2 down? Are you too shallow and you hit hooks and pushes with it? Do you hit pulls and fades? I'd have to see your swing to say what you should do for sure. But in general, I would tee it low and not hit it like a driver. I'd hit a couple degrees down on it and have kind of a go-to shot. Because if you're hitting it for control, you're not worried about distance then. You want to just get control. So predictability of a pattern, eliminate one miss. Don't only miss it on one side so you can play for that. And then again, if I could see your swing. So for you guys that are rolling that haven't heard and you've been behind a rock or on an island without internet or whatever, our membership site is cogornogolf.com. That's where you can post your swings. That is where now I do all of my online stuff and potentially at some point might do all of our coaching stuff. Anyway, Ronald, I'm going for a Fairway hybrid fitting this week. That's a good man. Anything special I should ask or be aware about? No, I would just make sure I go somewhere good. If you go to a good fitter, they'll take care of everything. Probably can't hit 3 irons anymore. Hybrid, the way to go. Definitely 3 irons is not the way to go unless you have a lot of speed and you practice a lot. Hybrids definitely is the way to go. Nothing to look out for. Just go to someone who's a good fitter. Jim, what is your thought on same length irons? I have some people come in. At a guy this past week who's a really cool dude. I don't really see any increase in performance with them. I've probably had, I don't know, 20 to 30 people come in that have same length irons at this point. Yeah, probably 20 to 30 that come in. Right when it first came out with DeChambeau, I had a bunch of people right away. And I haven't seen, so to me, what would be beneficial would be, hey, is your distance control better? Is your contact better? Is your direction control better? Do you hit them farther? Can you hit them the same distance better? I haven't really seen any increase in performance, but if someone changed their one length and that make them play better, I'm all for it. Jim Gold, let's go Eagles. Yes, sir. If we had a horizontal line, cross our hips on the downswing, would the right hip stay inside horizontal line? So the right hip's going to move down and forward. So if this is my setup position, if you search, Jim, if you search my name and right hip or hips, I talk about this in some of the videos, and there's a good question. If I have a line here at a dress like this, a box that I go in, and I make a backswing, my left hip works in and forward, my right hip works back. As I begin down, my right hip works back and forward. And then from there, it doesn't just go straight lateral. It continues to turn. Now, as it continues to turn, though, I have depth there behind it. And my hip doesn't go forward to this line this way. If my hip extends too far forward, what's going to happen is I'm going to early extend. I'm going to come up on my toes. I'm going to extend this way. As my hip moves in, typically what happens is I go into extension. I lose my forward bend. So I want to keep my trail hip back as I'm turning. So if you kind of have the line there, the thought, Jim, would be no, your hip should continue turning, but it shouldn't cross forward to that line or else it's going to take you out of your flexion. You want to keep that right trail hip back as you're opening, right? You're down with your upper body and back. And like 90, there right now there's 101 people on here, 100. 97 of you probably don't get close enough to the ground on the way down. You don't rotate enough, you're not in a forward bend and or right side bend. And a lot of times because you don't have a swing direction or a club face to support it, the best ball strikers in the world are closer to the ground, in right side bend and rotated. That's why they can keep their trail arm bent, trail wrist bent, et cetera, et cetera. But hips back, Jim. Matt McGuire. Hey, Eric, I'm your biggest fan. Thank you, sir. I can tell you how much, I can't tell you how much your subscription service has helped me. Those that haven't subscribed, do it. That's my plug to buddy you up for a question. I appreciate that. So Matt is one of our members at CogornoGolf.com. You know, guys, when I promote that on here, like when we do our products, our master classes and live and stuff we're doing, like I genuinely mean that. For you guys, like this helps. And I know I appreciate a lot of you guys leaving comments that we help, and I like that. But sometimes when we talk, like, man, if I could just see your swing, I could really, really, really help you guys. Like I can really answer a lot of these questions and take you guys to the next level. And I appreciate Matt, you hopping on here and saying that. I really think, you know, the price point aside and et cetera, like if I could see your swing, man, I could really, really, really make a big difference. So I appreciate you saying that. And I'm going to get to your question there in a minute. Larry, I recently saw a downswing golf drill where the instructor had a ball in his hand and hitting one off the ground. What's the benefit? We just saw a downswing drill where the instructor had a ball in his hand and hitting one off the ground. I don't know, Larry. I have not seen that one. Maybe if you put a link to it, I'll check it out later. I haven't seen that one. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any benefit of that. You know, a lot of the drills that come up, you know, that's cool. If it gives you a feel, that's cool. But at the end of the day, you have to have the video on. You have to work on a piece or two. You have to have feedback. Like that's really the best way to do it. Like some of these drills I see, you know, I don't know. You gotta have video on. You gotta have a piece you're working on. You have to have feedback. You have to exaggerate. That's really how you change a swing. But if you know, if a drill helps give you a feel, then that's fine. Okay, Matt, have a new focus, which is just solely focusing on keeping the club head square and vertical on backswing and shallowing properly. I think I need a month of this before more advanced body moves thought. Yes. So generally speaking, that's a good question, Matt. And usually that's the order it needs to go in. I always preach on here, you have to have your face in order first, club face. You have to have your club path, and then you do pivot. Club face, club path, pivot. That's probably true 90% of the time. Meaning, if you see guys online working with guys on pivot, or you see me working pivot or whatever, that probably means they already have good club face alignments. That probably means they're already shallow, right? Most of the time, if you have an open club face, you're effed kind of across the board. Your downswing swing direction is going to be off. Your pivot's not going to be good. You're not going to rotate. You're going to do something to fix an early club face. You have to have that first. I don't know if I can swear on here or not, but if your club face is open, you have to fix that first. And then you have to fix path. If your club path comes down and it's too steep early or it's too far outside in, you will do something with your pivot to correct that. Okay, so you have to fix that second, and then you do pivot. So yes, club face and shallowing first, swing that first, and then once that's in there, then we can clean up pivot piece to get to the next level. That's a beautiful question, and that's exactly correct. I'd love to maybe like a coach who like thinks otherwise than that, like kind of have like a little like
Debate.
no, but debate, yeah, but like a conversation about that. I just don't think you can do body motions before club face. But anyway. Can you advise how to get swing videos for you to review? Yes, CogornoGolf.com is the only way to do that anymore. I used to do individual swing lessons, but it's all on CogornoGolf.com. There's different kind of membership tiers. I would do the premium one, get access to all of the master classes. We've been doing master classes at like once a month because Mary's a complete animal back there, and we do just once a month. It's been a lot of them. So you get all of those, you get all the stuff on the site, and you get access to the Facebook group, is where you post the videos. That's what I would do there. Jason, trying to rotate more in swing and having some inconsistencies with driver push fades. Feels like I'm coming out of the shot early, staying up early extension. What would cause push fade? Yeah, it could be any of that stuff. Push fade at the end of the day means your club face is too open. Now, how that gets there and how your body reacts could be a bunch of things, but think about that. If the ball push fades, how could that happen without an open club face? Couldn't. So if you really extended, that still means your face was open. If you rotated well or not well, your face was still, no matter what happened, you know what I'm saying, Jason, no matter what happened, your club face was still open. So you have to fix that part first. That could be grip, that could be wrist conditions, that could be form, rotation, etc. So you have to figure out why your face is open, fix that. And I would be willing to bet your face is open somewhere. You then fix that with your path somehow, and your body reacts with early extension, just like I was saying before. It's almost always a reaction. So you have to fix your face first. You would look at grip, wrist conditions, form, rotation to do that. Learn how to hit some hooks left first, and then gradually kick your path to the right to match that. But you have to probably usually see an opposite ball flight pattern. Todd, Tommy Fleetwood, is he holding it off? Seems like a very short follow through. Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood has a really cool release pattern. If you watch it in slow-mo with his grip, he has a little bit more of that kind of drive, hold, elbow towards the target, kind of keeping the face really square. Now, he has a lot of right side bend. And one of the videos we have coming up, you'll see him at setup versus impact. He's got as much right side bend and tilt as about anybody, which means during his downswing, like if I just add right side bend, if I get my right shoulder close to my hip, and I do that with a club, what does it do to my club? It makes it go really far inside, right? It shallows it. So he swings it from inside out. He's got a cool release pattern. He draws every single ball. And he, with his grip pattern, has a really cool, nice, kind of stable release pattern. Excellent ball striker. Putting, you know, but excellent player. Kellen, hi, Eric. I'm struggling a lot with pulls. Kellen, hi, Eric. I'm struggling a lot with pulls. Any drills or feels I can work to help me out? Come out. Wow. So, let me try that again. Hi, Eric. I'm struggling a lot with pulls. Any drills or feels I can work to help me not come over the top? Absolutely. Thanks for everything your videos have transformed my golf game. Beautiful. So, yeah. So Kellen's another one today. We shot a bunch of videos today. Normally we do like 2 videos on Monday, 2 videos on Friday, and kind of space it out. But today we did a couple more because the schedule's getting a little tight. But anyway, one of those several videos we shot was how to fix your pulls. 2 drills. Yeah, I think it was 2 drills to fix your pulls. 2 simple drills. So that'll be out in like 2 weeks, within the next 2 weeks for sure. That'll be one that'll help you, Kellen. We did a video called my favorite or the best drill I've ever seen. Is a good one. And we did a video called how to fix your weak fades. That's a good one practice-wise. We did only 3 drills you'll ever need. I'm trying to think of these titles. Basically, any of the things in the drill was like, listen, for you, when you get pulls, the issue in some way, shape, or form is your path is too far outside in. Now, that could be your ball position is too far forward, you're aimed left, you have body, or there's different reasons you could get there, but you have to fix your path at the end of the day. So if you're coming over the top, you have 3 practice station options. You can put an alignment rod back here on an angle like this, where you swing underneath it. That's in those videos. You can put one over the ball. That's going to be in upcoming videos. Or you can put one in front that you swing to the right of. If you search those 3 drills or how to hit a draw, search those couple things, Kellen, that'll help fix that. Start short and slow. Start short and slow, and then build your way up. When I came over the top, the way I fixed it was with the drills we just did in that video today. I did like 30 to 50 swings a day for like 2 years. It probably took me like 6 months until I actually fixed it. And I would just do a pitching wedge in my garage, slow, and kind of build my way up. That's the way to do it. Bill, trying to draw the ball, but I'm hitting it straight or to the left with the hook spin. How can I get the ball started right consistently? So kind of the same thing. So trying to draw the ball, I'm hitting it straight or left with a hook. So Bill, I'd have to see your swing, right, to say exactly why that's happening. There's too many variables that I'd be making a guess. That's a good question. I'd have to see your swing. How can you get the ball started to the right? Ultimately, your path, right? If your path is enough inside out, like those drill stations we just talked about, that will help getting the ball started to right. And yes, the ball starts more towards where the face is, but it also starts partially where the path is and where you're, because I hear this all the time, like ball starts with your face, just get your face right. No, that's not exactly how it works. Your club face primarily is dictated by your path. If I swing my club 10 degrees inside out like this, I swing way inside and way out. Where's my club face going to be pointed? Be pointed to the right. Doesn't matter if it's close to the path some. I'm swinging 10 to the right. So it's going to be pointed to the right. So get your path far enough inside out. We'll get rid of the ball starting to the left. You can put a start line stick like an alignment rod in front of you. If I'm going out towards a target like this, about 3 yards in front, and then get it started to the right like that. You can check things in your stance, like maybe move the ball back a little bit, aim a little farther to the right, some of the stuff like that, Bill. But if I saw you swing, I could tell you why, but those would be some general things. Homer, any feels to know when you're to complete your backswing? So we did some videos. You search my name and connection would be a good one to watch on that, and why your backswing is too long and how to fix it. Basically, the deal is kind of what we want for most people is to have a pretty big backswing turn. So like 45 with the hips, 90 with the shoulders, with a pretty short arm swing. Like I'd prefer a big body turn, short arm swing. Why? Because if you have a shorter arm swing or it's just in front of you like this, it's a lot easier and there's nothing to make up for coming down. If you start getting out here, if you start getting here or all kinds of weird stuff going on, then almost always you're going to have to well, not almost always, you have to fix that coming down, right? And usually that means at the cost of doing something else. Not everyone, of course, there's anomalies, but usually if you're jacked up at the top, you have to fix that in transition. So really what I would say is your arm should stop when you stop turning. Now, that's not 100% true for everybody, but it's a good general rule. Whenever I get to my full 90, my arm should stop. I'd say your lead arm, if we did like a 90-degree angle between this and this is 90, I would go up. I'd say your lead arm should be like 40 to 45 degrees, like there. So butt of the club, when you go to the top, is going to be just above your head. You see that right there? So butt of the club's not here above my head. It's not here at my neck. Butt of the club is just above my head, and my lead arm is about 40 degrees. I'd say it's kind of a stock general rule. Why do the best coaches charge so much for lessons? Can someone really make a rational argument for $350 an hour? Seems inappropriate. Yeah, I think that's anything though across the board, right? Like if I go get a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, anyone who's good at their industry, I pay more and pay a premium for that. If I'm going to go stay at a really nice hotel, why do they charge more than a not so nice hotel, right? Why does people pay 100 grand for a Porsche versus 20 grand for a Honda? You know, why does anyone pay $1 million for a house versus $100,000 for a house? Yeah, it's also not paying for just the hour, right? And so like, and I'll be up. Listen, I'm doing golf schools now for $1,500, and we booked all them out really fast. Tells me that price is too low, right? Like I do lessons right now for $150. That's going to go up to $200, and that books I'm booked till the end of October, so I should probably charge $250, right? And then it's also supply and demand. So yeah, listen, I mean, there gets a point where like, do I think if I charge $500 for an hour, that you're going to get in that 1 hour 4 times as good of a lesson as someone who charges 100? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes no, right? But like, I don't also need to pay 100 grand for a Porsche. Like I want to buy a Porsche. At one point, I will probably buy a Porsche and pay 100 grand for it. It's ridiculous. That Porsche isn't going to get me from A to B any different than a Honda is, but like I want a Porsche. So I think that's part of it too. I think that sometimes you get the value of it, sometimes not. I see where you're coming from. Like sometimes I think with my prices when I used to charge like $50 an hour and I could teach anybody, that feels good to be able to help, you know, but there's supply and demand, there's business cost of stuff, and that's the reality of it. Yeah, I think $350, depending on who you're talking about, could be cheap. $350 for Butch Harmon would be a bargain. You know, I think $350 for me, honestly, right now is probably close to where I should be. I think it's just supply and demand, all depends. It also depends on who you're dealing with, right? Like if I do a golf school and 4 out of 6 are presidents of companies or vice presidents or CEOs, whatever, $1,500, I don't know, $2 grand, $2,500, $5 grand. I mean, it's kind of, you know, it all depends. That's a whole, we could do like a whole hour on that. Anyway, Benjamin, what's the difference between shallow and hitting too much from the inside? Not really anything, kind of the same thing. We kind of just depends on the terms you talk about. But if I take a normal setup and I draw a line up the butt of the club and that's in line with the belt buckle, like right here, like this, and I just drew that line forever, my club head getting on that plane line during my downswing would be considered on plane. Too shallow would be my club head getting horizontal, my club head getting underneath that plane line. Swinging too far from the inside would be underneath that. So to me, from my perspective, being too shallow or too far from the inside is basically the same thing. John, right arm question. I think people think if they chunk behind the ball, too much right hand arm. Same way people think if they skull the ball, they lifted their head. It's angle of attack. Yeah, John, it could be several things. If someone hits behind the ball, it could be they had a huge turn off the ball and didn't turn it all back. They shifted too much. They had tilting issues. They had a really good backswing, but they added too much right side bend. They had too much tilt of their pelvis. They unhinged too much. They were too shallow. They were too steep. There could be a lot of reasons why someone hits fat, whether it's right arm or not. So yeah, just there's a lot of different ways that could happen. Jason, hi, can give me some info on hitting the sweet spot with the irons. Love your videos all the way from Ireland. Thank you, sir. Yeah, hitting the sweet spot's a tricky one because there's not a lot of general rules. I can give you some kind of stock like drill, you know, like put a ball down and kind of put a tee on the other side of the club, but you know, that might help. But if you have stuff that comes up that makes you hit off the toe or the heel, you probably have to fix that. So it depends on, who's Jason? It depends on what, are you hitting on the heel or the toe? And then I'd still have to see why. Like if you said, hey man, I'm hitting off the toe, how do I fix that? I'd be like, dude, the reality is it could be like a lot of reasons why that's happening. A lot of guys who hit off the toe too much. I see a lot of people hit off the toe because of early extension. So on the way down, they stand up. The handle, right? Anytime the handle gets more vertical, you risk the club head getting closer to you. Center mass gets closer to you because it wants to seek 90 with the shaft. And so you hit off the toe from there, right? A lot of guys who hit off the toe come too steep this way, and then they try and stand the shaft up to fix that. They get toe shots. A lot of guys who come too far inside try and stand the shaft up to fix that. They get toe shots. A lot of time with toe shots, I see the shaft getting too vertical. That's kind of common. I'd say for heel shots would be more of the shaft being lower, but that could be too far inside out. That could be outside in. That could be pressure in your feet. That could be balance points issues. So a lot of these, like that's why, again, guys, kind of genuinely, like when I say to see your swing, a lot of these questions, there's a lot of multiple variables. Like if you said to me, hey, I'm out of shape, how do I get in shape? I'd say, you know, you eat better and you go to the gym, but then like what you need to eat, Jason versus Joe, the next guy, and John, the last guy, could be completely different. How you eat, when you eat, et cetera, et cetera. So there's really a lot of variables there. Wish I could give better like black and white answers to some of these, but I have to see your swing. Joe, hi Eric, messaged you about using your hands correctly, which was great. However, especially with long irons. Yeah, Joe, that's cool. I mean, I would have to see you. I have to see your swing again, like a broken record. I'd have to see what you're actually doing with your hands. When you feel like you're doing something, are you actually doing that, or do you just feel that? Why do you get those thin shots with the long irons? Right? Is it a setup thing? Is it ball position? Is it swing plane? Is it body alignments? Yeah, I'd have to see. I can give you some stock stuff of like, hey, get your body here and you know do this, do that. But yeah, I'd have to see that one. Do you recommend not hitting off mats at the range if you can hit off grass, or not concerned if you know what you're doing? To me, it's not a concern. I've hit off mats my whole life. I never have an issue. Every once in a while, people will send me messages like, I can't hit off mats, or I can't tell. And that's I can buy that. I mean, if you guys like hitting off grass, then that's cool. But I think hitting off mats is very little risk, unless you have some kind of injury from it. I've hit off mats my whole life. I can tell if I hit it good or bad, whether I'm on a mat or grass. So I think it's no big deal. Frank, I appreciate if you can speak a little slow. Yeah, we're past that point, buddy. My apologies. Rapid fire and I go fast.
Truth in advertising.
I've successfully changed. I'm still thinking about that 350. Successfully changed from over the top to shallowing. What advice or drills can I do to control the draw? I tend to overdraw. So A, that's awesome. To go from over the top to shallowing is exactly what you should see. You should start overdrawing the ball. So you've been over the top, you used to have pulls and fades. When you start to shallow, you should see something new, which is pushes and hooks. So if you're overdrawing the ball, A, excellent. Don't try and fix that too soon. Overdrawing the ball and not controlling that, if you used to be steep, like almost all my players who are really good who shoot par under, overdraw or learn overdraw. So I would be in a hurry to fix that, A. But the answer usually is when you fix the over the top, and now you start shallowing coming from inside, to control the draw from there, you have to learn to pivot and rotate. So next part of that would be using your body correctly, okay? So maybe ease up on how far you swing inside out, right? And using your body correctly. So if you were here and you used to rotate, or used to be way over the top, you probably didn't rotate a lot to save that. Now we're inside out hitting hooks. That's cool. But now from here, start to open up. Start to get your body motions open. Start to add forward bend, right side bend, and rotation. Watch that impact drills video we talked about. The key for you that's next, here is body motions. So you learn to close the face, learn to pivot. Now learn the path rather. Club face first, path more to the right second. Beautiful, hit hooks. Now take the hook off with rotation and pivot. Again, I have to see your swing, but if you look at our rotation masterclass or early extension masterclass, or check out the site, or watch any of our rotation videos on here, you want to learn how to rotate. Maybe take a little bit of the path to the right out. Happy Bob is a bit offbeat, but just thinking Mark Bell's slingshot could be a good tool for helping arm work better. You know, it's funny. I watch Mark Bell, and I have his the hip the thing you wrap around your hips, right? Where I do like the squat to get the, my hip, I can't think of what it's, maybe it might be just like the hip circle, I think maybe it's called. And I've seen his slingshot and actually thought about getting one of those, and it's kind of, because I haven't ever used a slingshot or the hip trainer to keep in the arms. I think it's a good idea. I do think that could work really well.
Happy Bob is a great name.
Happy Bob, love it. How to prevent from badly coming over the top. Do a drill like we mentioned before. If you look at how to, or the best drill, my favorite drill, best drill I've ever seen, any of the drills where you have the sticks in the way, where you have to swing from the inside, basically what you need is a feedback station. The answer, how to prevent from badly coming over the top, is you need a feedback station. You need to make sure your club face is square first, and then you need a feedback station. If you search my name and draw, search my name and the best drill I've ever seen, the only 3 drills you'll ever need is YouTube titles. How to fix your weak fade, and those sort of things, slice, fix, all those. That's how you'll do it. You got to start short and slow. That's what I did to fix it. It took me 6 months. I did that little Jack Nicklaus inside approach thing for like 2 years every day. Got too far inside out. That was the problem I wanted. And so any of those 3 drills I talked about earlier, where you put an object behind the ball, over the ball, or in front of the ball, that's what you need. Ryan, is wrist movement bad, or would it be better to use them in your swing? You need wrist movement. No way to take the wrist out. The question is how to use them. How you use them depends on your grip, and it depends on how you use your body. The stronger your grip, the less wrist rotation you need. The more rotation you have, the less wrist rotation and flexion extension you need. The slower your club head speed, probably the more you need. The less rotation you have, the more you need. The weaker the grip, the more you need. Ronald, do you work with the mental aspects? Absolutely. Any Bob Rotella type tips to stay focused and not let negative thoughts enter? Absolutely. We actually did a video. We have some on the CogornoGolf.com. We did a video, I think on YouTube, on pre-shot routine and staying present and how to take your range feels to the course. So if you search on here, my name and course management or pre-shot routine, how to take your range feels to the course, we'll talk about that through breathing and staying present. Eric, Peter North here. Okay. Old porn star. Good. Putters made for short people. Putters are generally made in stock length. Usually the general putter length that was first made was made just so that the putter would stick out of the bag, which I don't know if it was, I think it was like 34 inches, but they made it so that when you put a putter in a bag, the club head would stick out. That was kind of literally the only reason that putters were made that length. So ideally you would go and get a putter fitting done. But if not, you can kind of adjust. Can you speak to wrist action on the backswing? Sure, yeah, Andrew, it depends on exactly what you want to know. If you search my name and takeaway, wrist, backswing, you'll see more in depth than whatever I talk about here. Depends on your grip. As a stock grip, you'd have a little bit of cup or extension at address. That's gradually going away. At first parallel at takeaway, you might have a little bit of extension still there. You're hinging gradually from there to here. Then you're going to your right pec. At that point, your left wrist should be pretty much flat. You're hinged almost 90 degrees. From there to the top, your left wrist should be flat with a neutral grip, and you're hinged about a full 90 degrees. That would be this part and this part. So you're gradually adding hinge from setup pretty much the whole way to the top, especially from about the right leg. Once your hands get to about your right leg to the top, gradually adding hinge from 0 to 100. Your left wrist, if you have a neutral grip, is slightly cupped, and you're losing that cup, generally speaking, all the way to the top. If you have a stronger grip like this, then you have more cup in all likelihood in your left hand. You have more cup and turn at address like this. You maintain that cup more here, and you can maintain more of that cup at the top and stay square. If you have a weaker left hand grip, like the V's over this way, then you need to kind of curl under more. You got to curl it down to have the face tilted down, curl, curl. The idea is it's kind of match it up with your grip with the club face, meaning if this is my setup position, at first parallel, I want that club face tilted down a little bit. I don't want the club face toe up like this. I want it tilted down 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 degrees. So whatever kind of wrist conditions I need to do to tilt it down, that's cool. If I had a strong grip, watch this. Here's a strong grip. The face is still tilted down. Look at my left wrist is really cupped. Now, if I have a weak grip, for me to have it tilted down, my left wrist needs to be really bowed. If I have a neutral grip, my left wrist is flat. So it really just depends on your grip, but that's how your wrist conditions work. Maybe we should do a video on that. Wrist, something with like wrist and takeaway. I don't know what that means. Please, thank you. Turning hips well, but head moving in front of ball and downswing. You need more right. This is Bob. You need more right side bend. If I stand up like this, and I'm hitting this way, if I have left side bend, meaning left shoulder closer to hip, my head moves forward. If I have right side bend, my head moves back. So the deal is, as I'm turning, when I turn, my head moves forward. So to offset that, I need to have right side bend. As I'm turning, my head moves forward. To offset that, I have right side bend. So during the downswing, you need to feel like your right shoulder gets closer to your right hip. As you're turning, that's how you stay centered. If you don't have that, you're going to go too far forward this way. Right side bend is your answer, Bob. Search my name in right side bend, and search my name in steady head. Search my name and staying behind the ball to hit it higher and farther. We'll go over those. Jim, please show how the upper arm should move away from the chest in the downswing gradually or later in the downswing. Can't find any videos to explain this. Jim, I talked about that a little bit on a couple videos ago on like backswing depth, the importance of backswing depth and getting your arm deep on the way back in, on the way down. The deal is going to be your left arm is going to go against your pec during the backswing. So at the top, your left arm should be pressed against your pec right now like this. In transition, you want to keep it pressed against your pec until about left arm parallel. So from here, you don't have it fly off your pec like this. That's no speed. You want to have that pressing against your pec until left arm parallel. And then from there, my body's opening, it's pressed against my pec, pressing my pec. From about left arm parallel to hip high, that comes off my chest and then flies away from my body towards the target. That would be kind of a general rule of thumb. Now, some people like to keep that a little tighter and kind of work more left around their body. It depends on what kind of release pattern, what kind of ball pattern you want to play, et cetera, et cetera. But that would be a general rule. Let's see. Crushing the T drill.
With the takeaway T drill?
Not sure what you mean there, man. Crushing the T drill. Oh, maybe. Carl, explain the wrist angles at impact, before impact, going through the ball. So Carl and everyone else, it depends on your grip. It depends on your body bends and release patterns. So let's say you were Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka. Let's say you had a strong grip, a really good club face alignment, like a Victor Hovland, like a Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, whatever. And you have good body motions, which again, of the 94 people on here, I don't know how much of, and me included, have that. But let's assume we have that. When I work down here like this, your wrist motions kind of work in threes. You have radial and ulnar deviation, so you hinge and unhinge this way. That's one thing. I have flexion towards my body, extension away from my body this way. And I have supination, palm up, pronation, palm down. So I have hinge, up and down. I've got in and out, extension, flexion. And I've got supination, pronation. My wrist during my late downswing, and who asked this here? Carl, if you search my name in wrist and impact and stuff like that, you'll see videos on this. But during the downswing, my wrist, late downswing, it unhinges. Ideally, it stays flat or slightly flexes, and then it supinates. Okay, so let's say from here, let's say I get into a delivery position. So I'm here like this, club's down at the ground. From here to impact, my left wrist unhinges, and it supinates. So I unhinge and I supinate, and then there's abduction of my arm away from my body. That gets my handle forward. There's also rotation of my body that gets my handle forward. So there's abduction this way, and then there's rotation, which gets my handle forward. But my left wrist is unhinging for sure. Okay, that angle's changing. I'm definitely adding supination from here. So my back of my left hand's away from me, then it's at the target. That's through supination, and that's through arm rotation. Not a lot of us talk about arm rotation. It's external rotation of the trail shoulder or the lead shoulder. So here, it's unhinging and it's supinating. Now, in reality, and this again depends on where you're coming from. If your left wrist is flat or bowed, you're gradually losing that flat or bowed and working towards extension. So like Dustin Johnson, who's here and he's bowed like this. Yes, he's still slightly bowed at impact, but he's working away from bowed. He's working towards extension. But those of you who have an open face, those of you who are back here, okay, and your face is open or your left wrist is cupped, you are working towards extension too early to try and fix the face. Like Shane Lowry, who just won the British Open. He was steep, narrow, and cupped like this. The only reason he plays good is from there, he curls his left hand under. So here, this is Shane Lowry, boom, like this. He's like Mickelson. And then he curls it under late. And some of you guys don't like that. You're like, that adds too much timing. Well, if you don't do that, you got no chance at all, right? If you do, if you're open, you got to curl. You got to curl late. And then everyone's like, well, why don't I just get it closed early? Like, yeah, that's cool. If you can do that, that's cool. But if you're open late, you got to curl down. So your wrists move in 3 parts, okay? They unhinge. You're going to have some supination, no doubt about it. Your arm's going to work away from your body, right? Adduction. And then you're also going to be working towards extension. What you need to feel is the most important part. And that, Carl, depends on where you're coming from. The stronger your grip is, the more you can have less forearm rotation and less upper arm shoulder rotation to square the face. You can keep your elbow more towards, see everyone talks about forearm rotation, but watch this. Here's my upper arm, no forearm rotation. If I put a club here and I just rotate my upper arm, that's gonna change if my club was down here, where my club face is pointed at, okay? All upper arm rotation. So blah, blah, blah. If you have a stronger grip, you can keep your elbow more towards the target and you can have less arm rotation. If you have a weaker grip, you need more arm rotation and you need more flexion just to get the face back to square. Does that make sense? If I'm tilted down like Dustin Johnson and I'm here, wherever I'm at, I don't need to do a lot. My face is already tilted down. If you're toe up or beyond toe up, you better curl this under that way. And that's just what it is. Now, are you going to maybe be a little less consistent? Yeah, maybe. Shane Lowry, Phil Mickelson, but they all won majors too. So it's not like we can't go out on the weekend and shoot 75 that way. So anyway, that's because that's a topic we could talk a whole hour about. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot there. And it all depends on where you're coming from. Let's see here. Watch your transition video. I'm trying your feels for reflexing and turning. However, I am confused. Yeah, I'm supposed to do both at the same time. Yes, you are supposed to do it at the same time. You're supposed to forward flex, right side bend, and turn simultaneously. That means during the downswing, you forward flex, chest closer to the ground. You right side bend, right shoulder closer to right hip, and you turn chest to the target simultaneously. That in motion would look something like this. And if you look at impact, right, of any of your favorite players, they're going to look something like there. We just did that video. It's going to come out in like 2 weeks of the setup versus the impact. Draw a line on their head at the top, draw a line at impact. They've lowered. Why they've lowered is because they're reflexing the legs, but also from forward bend and side bend. Here's my head in the distance. If I forward bend, I get lower, right? Here's my head in the distance. If I right side bend, I get lower. So you have to do that all at the same time. It depends on how you need to feel that, et cetera, et cetera. I'd have to kind of be with you in person or watch you do that, see a video of you doing that to say how to do it. But you got to do it all at the same time. If you search my name in right side bend, search my name in impact drills, body alignments, hitting your iron style, stuff like that. We'll go over that more, but you do it all at the same time. Any tips or drills for keeping more right elbow bend through impact? Yes, specifically to keep your right arm more bent, you need to do what the person above just said, which is you need to have your body in space. If I'm at a ball, think about this logically, guys. If I'm standing at a ball and at a dress, I have some amount of forward bend, right? I'm bent over some amount. Say it's 150 degrees from my ground up to my body. My right arm at a dress has very little bend to it. Would you guys agree? There's some bend there, but not a ton. If I want more bend at impact than I have at address, which you'll see in upcoming videos, all those, almost just about all those guys do, more bend of the right arm, I have to get me closer to the ground to make that possible. If I bend my right arm more and I bend my trail wrist back, which they all do, and I shorten this lever, there's no way I could hit the ball. So how do I go down? I increase the bend of my legs, I bend my chest down, and I bend my right shoulder down. Now, as I do that, I'm also turned. And some of you guys are gonna be like, wow, that feels really exaggerated. Wow, I can't believe how close I am to the ground. Or wow, 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 wow. And I would say, yes, 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 yes. For you to get that, if you normally stand up, get your chest farther away from the ground and throw your arm, to go from that position to what those pros look like, you need to literally feel like you're gonna kiss the ground. And I'm not exaggerating. If you normally look like this is why a lot of us don't change our swings and why it took me so long, because I never knew this. If I'm 3 feet from the ground and normally I stand up, I don't rotate, I throw my arm. To go from here to here, which is like a minor change, from here to here, I need to feel like this. I mean, I gotta feel like I'm like here. That's how far down I need to feel. I need to feel like I'm so ridiculously open and so far down towards the ground. And anything less than that's not going to work. That's why a lot of people, if you watch George Gankis, and I bring his videos up all the time because he's so good, he does that leg work and people look at it like, oh my gosh, so funny, exaggerate. He doesn't actually want his guys or girls doing those moves. What he does, he doesn't waste time, and he's really good at that. And he gets to the point, and you have to exaggerate big so it doesn't take so long. And then what's going to happen is if you get your body going down like this, you're going to say, oh my gosh, Eric, I chunked it because I went down. No. You didn't chunk it because you went down. You chunked it because you didn't bend your arm and your wrist. All the best players in the world go down and turn. All the good ball strikers go down and turn. But if I still lengthen this, I hit fat. Now, I didn't hit fat because I went down. I hit fat because I didn't bend my arm and my trail wrist. So the point is, to learn how to bend your arm, you have to put your body in the right position. You have to go lower than you think. You have to rotate more. Now, the only way you're going to buy into doing that, something that weird, and anything weird with your swing, is you have got to record yourself. You have to give yourself feedback, and the best way to do that's through live view. That's why we push that, because you can watch yourself, whatever form you want to use, but watching yourself live as you do something is the best way to do it, because you're going to feel like you go down. You're going to watch the video. You're going to be like, holy shit, I didn't even get close to what I felt. I only moved an inch. I'm going to say, yes, good, go and exaggerate more. And then we go. That's the most value I add in in-person or online lessons, is just like the trainer who's behind you when you lift, of like, keep going. Because a lot of times we know what we need to fix. You're not willing to exaggerate enough because you can't see yourself on video, and you don't realize that what you feel like you're doing, you're not actually coming close to. That's the divide. That's why we built CogornoGolf.com. That's why we do these, because a lot of you guys could fix your stuff, but you have to go that far. Big rant. Okay, next one. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. I feel like I'm yelling at you guys. I mean that with love. Like, you guys got to change these things to change your swing so you don't keep doing the same thing. Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. Your tips are very useful. I use them all the time at the range so I can self-correct, then play around, swing of the day. I love it. Love it. And I mean these things with this because, like, when I was trying to improve, I never did any of this stuff. And maybe someone told me, but I don't remember ever hearing it. And I didn't exaggerate enough, and it was stupid. And I wasted a lot of time practicing nothing. So you have to over-exaggerate. Eric, question about chipping. Do you recommend keeping weight in the front foot the whole swing? Also, do you rotate your lower body or just use the shoulder to turn? I would say for a stock chip, I would do like 50-50 or 60-40. I'd say for most, like, you know, some guys are going to say, yeah, make sure you don't go too far forward. But for a lot of amateur golfers, depending on your skill level, if you're just looking for solid contact, 60-40 is fine, right? You can take your normal setup, ball inside right heel, feet close, sternums forward to the ball. Make sure you don't have too much tilt, right? So make sure you're almost leaning tower piece of this way. I would say 60-40 on your left is fine, or 50-50 is fine. I go more 50-50, right? But I'm more advanced. You can go 60-40 to help your low point be more forward. Make sure your shirt buttons are at or just slightly forward of the ball to move your low point forward. Keep it 60-40 going back, and keep it 60-40 on the way through, or move a little bit more to the left when you're doing your stock chip shots. Not like 80-20, you know what I mean? But like 60-40 is fine. From front view, let's see here. So we do have like 2 minutes left. I know I was going on a rant with some of those, so I might not get all these questions, but I'll try and fly through these. From front view, how can I put my hands on left-legged impact? You have to do the things in your swing that would allow you to get the shaft lean to have your hands forward. You can do impact drills. Eduardo, the biggest thing, you have to make sure your face is in order. If you have a square or closed face, and more importantly, a closed face will help you get more shaft lean. If your face is open, you've got no chance. If you're too steep, you got no chance. So face first, do impact drills, get the club face square to closed. Like maybe even in the beginning practice, club face slightly tilted down here, like this, like that far, and learn how to take that forward. Learn how to take that and hit it right of the target. Shut the face down and learn how to hit it right of the target. That would give you more shaft lean. But the real answer, you got to figure out why you can't get it and fix it. David, thoughts on Playmate? Martin Chuck sent me one last week. I played with it one day. I got to do more. My initial thoughts are I really like it, but I have to do more. I got to use it a little more. Jeff, would you be able to describe your thoughts, feels, or eye focuses during the swing? Practicing bottom out and target side, but once about. I would say the deal with looking at the ball for me, and there's different ways to do it. I look at a ball like I do. I'm looking at the road when I'm driving, meaning I'm looking at it, but I'm not really looking at it. I'm not focused on a dimple. I'm not focused on the ball. I'm just looking at it. Having said that, I played tournament golf where I tried to focus on one dimple of the ball, and that worked really good for me as a focus point. So I would say keeping your eyes at the ball is a good idea during the backswing and downswing, not the follow through as much. Yeah, you can see what worked for you. I look at the ball, but I'm not really looking at it. Some players like to find a dimple. Really tight follow through. My arms stay stuck to my body and don't fly off my body. What could this mean? It just means that your arms are tight to your body. That could mean that you're too steep and you do that as a fix, could mean your face is too open. I'd have to see your swing to really elaborate on that more than the 40 seconds I have. Doug, my lead foot always ends facing the target by the time I finish the swing. Is that acceptable? Absolutely acceptable. Don't change it. Best drills to work on hip rotation, preventing early extension. Buy the early extension masterclass. That's not a pitch. That's the legitimate answer. It's so good. Gives you a lot of ways. Richard, early extension masterclass, best $77 you'll ever spend on golf, other than a membership to GornoGolf.com. Simon, Eric, is there any truth to wide, narrow, wide? Absolutely. If you've got speed to do so, that works fine. How do I stop reverse pivoting? So if you reverse pivot on the backswing, you go towards the target and away from it, you have to feel the opposites. Feel like you go away from it and then towards it. Of course, don't guess, record your swing. What you want to do is just draw a circle around your head and stay in it. So draw a circle, stay in it, but you're going to have to feel like you go off and forward. You have to exaggerate the opposite more than you think. Use feedback, don't guess. How to stop forward lunge. Again, do the opposite of whatever your current problem is. Depends on what you mean by forward lunge, why you're doing it. During range practice, I start off good, then start hitting off the heel, leaving ball marks on the heel. Absolutely no clue, Leo. Would have to see you hit. Swear word. Carl, thank you very much. That was very helpful. I do have a strong grip. You're welcome, my friend. Ty, is the goal of a golf swing to have the arms and body in sync? Yes. For example, I swing my arms slow around. If I swing my arms slow around the green, should I turn my body slow to match that? Yeah, that's fair, Ty. Yep, I would say that's fair. Thanks. You are welcome. See you next week. Sorry I missed the show. We will see you then. Okay. 101. 1 minute pass is not bad. Hope you guys had fun. I like the range out here. I know Mary likes the range. Hopefully you guys like the range better than the inside. As I said on there, guys, the master classes we have out, I'm going to start saying that more in the videos because I genuinely believe you guys would be better off with a lot of those things. Check out the master classes. And most importantly, check out CogornoGolf.com. At least check it out. Because if you can post your swing up there and I can actually see you guys swing, I could really, really help you guys. And try it out. If you can cancel anytime, if you don't like it, no hard feelings, whatever. But yeah, that's the deal. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back here again next Monday. Appreciate you guys being here. We really enjoy the rapid fire golf. And hope this time and day works okay. Mary and I were kind of flirting with potentially adding another session or doing more of this. Let us know if you guys would. Yeah, let us know if you guys would want to do more sessions or if you like the once a week or whatever the deal is. But anyway, hope you guys had fun. Appreciate you guys. Have a good week, and we'll see you all next Monday.